By 1944, 550,000 people had already been murdered here at Auschwitz. But now, during just a few weeks in spring and early summer, that figure was to increase by over 300,000. 4 years after it first opened, a period of frenzied killing was to begin at Auschwitz, unlike anything the camp had yet seen. But the history of Auschwitz in 1944 is not just one of murder. There is also intrigue. For this was also the year that the Nazis sent unlikely messengers to neutral territory to try to sow seeds of confusion among the Allies.
Versteht ihr, worum es sich handelt, Genossen? Den Deutschen brennt der Boden unter den Füßen. Sie fühlen das Nahen der Katastrophe. Sie wollen verhandeln.
And as the Allies learnt more about Auschwitz, the pressure on them grew. What were they going to do about it?
We wanted them to put bombs on the camp. Hundreds and hundreds of planes coming, and we are looking from up and no bombs.
This is the story of Auschwitz, the Nazis and the Allies in 1944. One of death, deceit, and mystery. The vast majority of those who were murdered at Auschwitz in 1944 came from one place, Hungary. In March 1944, German troops entered Budapest. For the Nazis, Hungary was a rich country, ripe for plunder. And though already allied to the Nazis, the Hungarians had been unreliable partners as far as Hitler was concerned, not least in their refusal to deport the 760,000 Hungarian Jews. Shortly after they were established in Budapest, the SS called a Hungarian named Joel Brandt, one of the most politically active members of the Jewish community, in for a meeting. On the 25th of April 1944, he went to see SS Lieutenant Colonel Adolf Eichmann. We know what was said from Brandt's subsequent interrogation by British intelligence, as well as his post-war testimony. Eichmann, infamous for organizing the mass murder of the Jews, was about to make a surprising proposal to Brandt.
Ich habe Sie kommen lassen, weil ich Ihnen ein Geschäft vorschlagen möchte. Ich kann Ihnen 1 Million Juden verkaufen. Was wollen's? Erzeugungsfähige Männer, gebärfähige Frauen, Kinder, Greise. Wir nehmen Sie Platz.
Herr Obersturmbannführer, Sie verlangen von mir zu entscheiden, wer am Leben bleiben soll und wer nicht. Das kann ich nicht. Ich will keinen einzigen Menschen meines Volkes verlieren.
Herr Brandt, ich kann Ihnen nicht alle Juden Europas verkaufen. Aber 1 Million Juden kann ich laufen lassen. Wir sind an Waren interessiert, nicht an Geld. Fahren Sie ins Ausland, stellen Sie Kontakt zu Ihrer internationalen Führung und zu den Alliierten her und bringen Sie mir eine konkrete Offerte mit zurück.
We tried to understand what was going on. It was possible that the Germans were just bluffing us. But we couldn't understand why.
But events elsewhere cast doubt on the Nazis' genuine desire to sell the Hungarian Jews, because this man, SS Lieutenant Colonel Rudolf Höss, was returning to Auschwitz. Höss had been removed as the original commandant of Auschwitz the previous November, promoted to a job in Berlin. But now he'd been ordered to return to the camp, to oversee the murder of the Hungarian Jews. At Auschwitz main camp, Höss, a committed Nazi, held planning meetings with his senior staff.
Wir werden uns auf Transportzahlen vorbereiten müssen.
Auschwitz became the greatest human extermination center of all time. The reasons behind the extermination program seem to me to be right. There's nothing new in anti-Semitism. It's always existed all over the world. It's only come into the limelight where the Jews have pushed themselves forward too much in their quest for power.
Fueled partly by these prejudices, Höss prepared for the arrival of the Hungarian Jews at Auschwitz-Birkenau, 2 miles away from Auschwitz main camp. He oversaw the completion of a railway line, allowing new arrivals to be brought directly into Birkenau. Birkenau, part concentration camp, part extermination center, had been the site of mass murder at Auschwitz since 1942. Here, not just Jews, but Polish political prisoners and others the Nazis thought a threat to their rule were imprisoned. Crucial to the operation of Birkenau were 4 crematoria with gas chambers attached, where those selected to die were murdered and burnt.
To, czego nie można pokazać, a szczególnie w Brzezince, bo to się tam działo.
What can't be shown, especially in Birkenau, is above all the stench of burning bodies.
Ten swąd palących się ciał.
It spread a long way, kilometers from the camp. It wasn't just that the fire burnt for one day, went out, and that was it. It burnt for months on end. Whether it rained or not, whether it snowed or not, the fire burned all the time.
Ten ogień bez przerwy się palił.
Höss and his SS colleagues now anticipated that so many people were about to be murdered here, the crematoria ovens simply would not cope. So huge cremation pits were prepared. And one prominent visitor to Auschwitz during May 1944 was none other than Adolf Eichmann. Höss knew him well.
Eichmann was completely obsessed with his mission, and also convinced that this extermination action was necessary in order to preserve the German people in the future from the destructive intentions of the Jews.
Eichmann's visit, I remember. His whole appearance. All the SS people had the same expression. They were always furious looking, to show how important they were, to show they were important people.
Yet at the same time as organizing the deportation of the Hungarian Jews, Eichmann allowed Brandt to leave Hungary on the 17th of May 1944. His task, to see if the Allies would exchange 10,000 trucks for 1 million Jews. There was considerable urgency to Brandt's mission, because in Hungary the deportations were already underway. A task now performed with the essential cooperation of the Hungarian authorities. In the small town of Sárvár, close to the border with Austria, Alice Lok-Kahana, her elder sister Edith, and the rest of their family prepared to leave.
The scene of going out of Egypt came to my mind. When we saw the cattle trains, I told my sister, it's a mistake. They have cattle trains here. They don't mean we should go in cattle trains.